Okay, great. So excited. This is only my second time ever being live.
This is my first time.
At least we're not doing yoga this time.
Oh yeah, last semester for Handshake Week we did yoga, and it was only me and Daniel that showed up to it. And there were some people on the live thing. I don't know if they were actually doing yoga or making fun of us, but yeah, that was. I won't be doing that again.
They had full rights to do both.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. It's actually on our IGTV if anybody wants to laugh at us. So in this live stream, we're really just going to go over everything that is like everything career related that you could possibly know. So we have some frequently asked questions that we've compiled, and then we also have questions from students that have been some questions students have submitted. But feel free, anybody that's joining us live, if you have questions that you really want us to answer, go ahead and put that in the comments and we'll make sure that we get to those. And they can be specific questions and they can be just general questions as well. There's no parameters on that. So just feel free to submit anything. Okay, are we ready to start?
Ready.
Okay, great. So first question that I have on here, and this could be for both, actually for Daniel and Maggie, if you guys want to both answer this equally. What do I need to know about career fairs this semester?
You need to go. Definitely go to the career fairs. I would say that's the most important thing, that they are happening and you should go. I can speak a little bit about our upcoming Business Computing and Engineering Career Fair that will be on February 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., hosted virtually on Handshake. And it's going to be an awesome event, and we have over 60 companies registered so far, both looking for business students and engineering students. You can get registered on Handshake. It's open to students right now. You can sign up for one-on-one sessions, group sessions. The one-on-one sessions are 10 minutes long, group sessions are 30 minutes. They'll take place over that 4-hour window, and it's just the absolute best place to network with employers, to ensure that you have internships and full-time jobs lined up for this coming year if you don't already. And then Daniel, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the other fairs we have?
For sure. And just to kind of mirror what Maggie was saying, get your faces in front of their faces. It's going to be the best way for them to remember who you are whenever it comes time to applying for those positions. It's going to give you that leg up because networking is everything. And even though all of these fairs are virtual, they all have that video component, so you can have that one-on-one interaction and engage those employers and bring in who you are and show them how you're going to be a good fit for their organization. Additionally, to the Business Computing and Engineering Fair, we have Teacher Recruitment Day coming up on February 18th. So this is for our School of Education students wanting to get into those school districts. We have the Nursing, Health, and Life Sciences Fair coming up, and this is going to be everywhere from nursing and health studies, biology, sciences, chemistry. All of our students are invited to this fair to really engage with those employers within that healthcare and scientific industry. We also have the Civic Leadership and Public Safety Fair coming up. So this is going to really target our nonprofits, our policing, our criminal justice, so students from psychology, sociology, really all across campus, but political sciences, criminal justice, and criminology. Please, everyone consider coming to these fairs, and you can cross multiple fairs. Come to multiples because these companies are looking to hire within all aspects of their businesses.
And I will say too, for the Business Computing and Engineering Career Fair, there are also going to be opportunities for communication students, psychology students, students in social sciences. There are companies looking for a variety of majors. So even if you're not in Block or in SCE, I highly encourage you go.
And I will say from a career coach perspective as well, for our students wanting to learn more and really kind of get a feel for how to prepare for these career fairs, go ahead and register for either our Umkc Career Services Navigating a Virtual Career Fair information session, or the Block Career Center has a Career Fair 101 session. And we really talk about very similar things, but obviously with the Block Career Center, that is for business students only, and it will talk about more business-related items versus our UMKC Career Services info session will be all the other majors except for the School of Law. So definitely sign up for those. You can do that on Handshake. So if you go into Handshake, log in with your SSO, go to events, you can search for those events and just make sure you hit register, and then we'll send you the Zoom link for that. Awesome.
And both of those events are really targeted to make you successful, to help you learn how to be successful in these career fairs.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So this is actually the perfect time for me to bring in our other career coach. She popped in. She's a little late. Here you go. Slide in there. You'll help us answer questions. So I guess now that you're here, we can do like full introductions. We never actually did that. So I'm going to say you guys can get started. I want to switch out my mask so I'm not having to pull it up over and over again.
Hello, my name is Daniel Folk, and I'm the Manager of Employer Relations within UMKC Career Services.
I'm Paige McLean. I'm a career coach.
And I am Maggie Raylan. I'm the Manager of Employer Relations and Outreach in the Block School. And then we also in the Block School have Ashley Nance, who is our Professional Development Manager, and Tess Serpernot, who is our Director and the Interim Director of UMKC Career Services.
Cool. And lastly, I'm here with a new mask. I'm Allison, and I'm one of the career coaches for the UMKC Career Services office as well. Do you want to pick a question?
Oh, yes. So I think this is relevant to career fairs and preparing for them. It's how can I make my Handshake profile look professional? I'm going to let the career coaches take this one.
Wait,
Well, Allison ran away.
Sorry.
So.
Handshake profile professional. So adding as much information as possible. Allie, you can jump in on this too. But
Yes.
I would say just add as much information as you can. Fill out all of the different categories. The skills section. Do we have that?
Yes.
Skills section on Handshake. Make sure you fill those out and add as many as you can.
Yes.
You can go into more detail.
Most
Also,
important.
Go
ahead,
on.
Allie.
No,
I was saying. Most important thing, graduation date, major, college, GPA.
Yes.
Most important things for career fairs, because employers can set qualifications on their side when they build out their schedules. And so if they're only looking for May 2021 graduates, you need to make sure that your graduation date is up to date. If they're only looking for students who have above a 3.0 GPA, you need to make sure that your GPA is up to date. If they're only looking for civil engineering majors, you need to make sure that you've listed your major correctly. So it's, you know, in addition to everything Paige said, and I'm sure everything Allie is going to emphasize, like make sure those key items are in place.
No, absolutely, totally agree. And I was going to ask either Maggie or Daniel to kind of put an employer's perspective into that question as well. So thank you so much for adding that in. In terms of like students and different things that you can add to that profile, everything that Paige said, also it's basically the same thing as a LinkedIn profile if you guys have LinkedIn. So really a lot of that you can really copy and paste over. It's super simple. But what makes the Handshake account different is that there's a few other sections that LinkedIn doesn't have that are academic related. So they have a courses section that you can add all of your relevant courses in, and that's relevant courses that would be interesting for the employers to know for the types of positions that you're applying to. It's not your gen ed type of courses. You also have a project section where if you're a computing engineering student, marketing communications, studio work, I mean, anything that you have, any project that is relevant to the internship or full-time position that you're interested in, go ahead and add that to your profile as well, because that can, if you don't have a lot of work experience or shadowing experience or volunteer experience and what you're interested in doing, then that project section is going to really help the employer understand what you do know and what experience you do have and what you've developed here at UMKC. I would obviously suggest adding a profile photo, making sure that that's professional as well. So there's a few ways you can do that now. Obviously we're in COVID, so it might be a little bit more difficult to get a professional headshot done. So there's two ways you can do that. The first way, which is my favorite because it is actually a professional headshot, is by actually contacting and setting up an appointment with the UMKC Marketing and Communications office. They have a photographer, and you can actually sign up for a headshot appointment with that photographer for free as a UMKC student. So that's super great. They're actually still doing that through, COVID and whatever we're doing now. But if you don't have that ability, sometimes it does take a while. It takes a little time to set up that appointment. If you need it really quickly, Daniel had someone take a photo of him where he just had a blank background, just a white background, nice, obviously professional clothing, had a suit on, good lighting. And I mean, phones nowadays have great cameras. So that's also an option if you're kind of strapped for time and you don't have the ability to get a full professional headshot done.
And one addition for that profile from an employer perspective, and this isn't what you should add, this is why it's important. Whenever you sign up for sessions and right before that session, what's going to pop up for that employer is a launch video on one side, and right next to that it says view profile. So each one of those employers that you meet with can actually click on your view profile and see some of that really important information, so that way they can go into this conversation being able to direct that conversation back towards that relevant experience that they pulled from your Handshake profile. So highly recommended to go ahead and fill that out.
Also, as we're going through this, if you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to keep updated and read them on the phone. So
we do have a question in the chat. Can newly joined international students attend the career fair? So in order to attend the career fair, as long as you're an admitted student, you should have been assigned a UMKC email address. You do have to have a UMKC email address to attend the fair because you can't access Handshake without the UMKC email address. So just as long as you've been admitted, you should be able to access an email address, which would allow you to access Handshake, which means you can attend the fair.
And I will say, in regards to Handshake in your account, we have seen where there have been some errors in uploading students to Handshake through the registrar after you obviously register for classes. If you're unable to access your account in Handshake with your SSO, go ahead and reach out to us. You can DM us right here on Instagram. You can also contact us at careerservices@umkc.edu, and that will go to all of us, so someone will be able to help you with that. But yeah, definitely, that is the only way you can actually attend a career fair this semester, so make sure that you do have access to Handshake. Cool. Next question. Paige, do you wanna find a question?
Sure. Okay. I'm assuming you're realizing. Oh.
Do you have another question come in?
We have a live question.
Okay, go ahead.
Does the science department have a career fair this semester?
Did I hear science?
Yeah, does the science department have a career fair this semester?
So for the, we have a fair called the Nursing, Health, and Life Sciences Career Fair. And so my job in employer relations is to recruit employers for that. So I'm recruiting hospitals, health organizations, and scientific organizations based in biology and chemistry right now. That's actually on across the office right here. I have an Excel document that I'm pulling employers right now so that way I can direct those emails to them to try to get more interest in that fair. So yes, for sure, and please attend.
Okay, Allie.
Ooh.
I'll ask you this.
Okay.
I'm a senior realizing I don't like my major. What should I do?
Number one, I'll say come in and actually see us because there's going to be more of a conversation that we need to have. And so I would say make an appointment if that's something that you're struggling with, whether you're senior, junior, or sophomore, at any stage you're wondering what major should I switch to, what career path should I be thinking about. Come in for an appointment. With the senior level, it just really depends on kind of what you want to do and if you've decided what kind of positions that you are interested in applying to after you graduate. So some majors, though, let's say you're a psychology student, it's usually the easiest one for an example. If you're a psychology student and you're deciding you don't want to be a counselor of any kind, you don't necessarily have to switch your major your senior year to be able to apply to a variety of other positions and other industries. And so really, again, just depends on your major and also depends on the type of career you're looking to go into. Now, if you decide you're a psychology major in your senior year and you want to go into engineering, conversation is going to be like, oh, okay, well, that's very specific and you will need that training. So you will have to probably tack on multiple more years and go and switch your major to an engineering major. So again, it depends on your path. So make an appointment with us. Again, in order to make appointments, I will give you a little, if you're taking notes, I'll give you a little snip about how to do that. So you log into Handshake with your SSO, obviously. You could go to Career Center, which is one of those tabs in the middle that you can find on that homepage, and then you'll click appointments, and you'll just go through and you'll be able to click the type of appointment as well as the date, time, the career coach that you're interested in. Excuse me, it's blacked out a little. Career coach that you're interested in meeting with, as well as the appointment medium, so video, phone, or actually an email review for like resumes and cover letters and documents like that. But that's how you make an appointment. So I would say in that case, I would, just so we can have that conversation and think about next steps.
I agree with everything that I heard because whenever I heard that question, I had a whole bunch of thoughts that ran through my mind. It was like, what time or how close is it? Are you graduating in May? You should probably not change everything if you're graduating in May. Maybe we can talk about adding a couple of courses or adding a minor to really specialize in something else. But also, is it that you, based on this question, is it that you don't like your major or the career path that you have chosen? Because we can modify that. We can talk about that.
You want to take this question? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, we have a really good question in the comments. So, what to do if my Zoom sessions are not available to join in a career fair?
So, this question, I just want to clarify something, and that's why I thought it was such a great question, is I want to clarify something about the career fairs in Handshake. So Zoom can be a part of it, but more than likely and more often than not, it's not going to be a part of it at all. So what Handshake did was they saw the pandemic happening and realized that in-person career fairs were not going to be an option. We're not going to be able to gather hundreds of employers and thousands of students in one place all at one time for quite some time, if ever again. So what they did was they built an internal platform within Handshake for career fairs. So all of the video, all of the registration, all of the scheduling, everything is within Handshake and it remains in Handshake. So once you register for a session on the day of the career fair, you just get to go back to log into Handshake, go into the career fair that you registered for and go to your schedule and it's right there. Your entire day is mapped out for you because you registered for those times. And whenever it comes time for that session, there's a launch video option. Just click on that and you're in your meeting with that employer. So you don't have to worry about Zoom. However, every once in a while, an employer will prefer to host that session themselves outside of Handshake. So don't be surprised if you do go into that schedule and you see an option wherever you go to join that session to see a Zoom link. So go ahead and join that link. A great thing about Zoom and how it's set up is that you don't necessarily have to be registered for Zoom or have a full account or anything. If you have that link, you can join that session. So in preparation for the career fair and thinking about everything, just know that most everything is going to be housed within Handshake, and it's really almost seamless process that Handshake has created for students.
And once you register for a career fair, you'll receive information leading up to it to check all your video settings. We will send out a guide to make sure that you can access those Handshake videos. We send one out to employers to make sure they're good to go. We send one out to students. We will also have support rooms via Zoom happening during every fair. So we have a student support room and an employer support room. So if at any time you're struggling to access your sessions with employers during the fair, you'll have that link to our support room and you can come talk to us and we can hopefully walk you through it. And so we did receive one other question above the Zoom session question about international students getting jobs after graduation. And I think we can all speak to that a little bit, but certainly there are barriers that you just have to kind of find a way past when you're an international student, including, you know, really getting that visa sponsorship for the H-1B post OPT. My biggest piece of advice is just to start networking and interacting with employers really early in the college process, as early as possible. If you are a STEM student, you get 3 years of OPT post-graduation, which certainly is less of a barrier because companies are more likely just to bring you on for those 3 years and more likely lead to that H-1B visa. If you're anything outside of STEM, you have the 1 year OPT, so that does provide more challenges, but we all have great resources for international students that we can share with you. So for the 2 pieces of advice that I have, be networking and engaging with employers really early on in your college process, and potentially be open to relocation within the United States. There's not always a ton of those opportunities if you're in the Kansas City area. We do have a lot, but bigger markets, Dallas, Chicago, New York, LA, San Francisco, Atlanta, even, like, they're going to just have more options. So also be open to job searching outside of the Kansas City area.
Oh, you can go.
Just one piece to add to what Maggie said, because Maggie mentioned resources. Meeting with a career coach within one of our offices, you'll be provided with resources to where you can actually do a more targeted search. Targeting employers that have applied to sponsor international students can greatly increase your odds. So that way you're not applying to 400 or 500 companies with 0 results or 0 callbacks. You can target those that have applied and been approved for H-1Bs in the past. So that way it just increases your odds. I always say quality of the application over quantity of the application. Show them that you're a good fit and target those employers that are going to be that best resource for you.
And just in addition to that, I can speak to this personally, just being from Canada and having to go through this process already. They hit everything that you should be doing. I think starting early, like they mentioned, and talking to your resources, taking advantage of meeting with us and ISAO to get a plan in place, know the set dates that you need to apply for CPT, OPT, and have that plan in place will make the process a lot easier for you. But it is possible, and just be open to relocating, like Maggie said. Chances are, if you're already in the US, you're open to moving. But just be open to new experiences and new places, and you'll be fine.
And so, question about making a meeting with a career coach. So Allie kind of walked through this earlier, but everything is on Handshake. So using your SSO to log in, you just go to Career Center, schedule a meeting. If you're a block student, you'll be automatically sort of funneled to meet with Tess or Ashley, Beth or Bob. Those are our career coaches and Tess meets with students as our director as well in the Block Career Center. Otherwise, you will be funneled to Paige and Allie to make appointments if you are in degrees other than within the block school. So I think availability is like pretty open. So you can, you might have to wait a couple days. You can't do same day appointments. So you have to do them 24 hours in advance, but otherwise there's usually plenty of availability throughout the week so that you can get in pretty quickly.
Yeah, we definitely try to keep our calendars as open as possible, so we'll have pockets of time, even if they are pretty full, that we're still accepting appointments. So you should find one pretty quickly. Well, any other questions that are live?
I think that answered them.
Yeah. Just knowing who the set career coach is, but we take either.
Yeah.
It's really based on your major. So as Maggie mentioned, if you're a business student, you're going to be able to have all access to those career coaches within the Block Career Center, and within Umkc Career Services, you're going to have access to Paige and Allison.
And I will say, I'll add to that as well. If you, let's say it's your first appointment and you just kind of meet with whoever's open for the time frame that works for you. If you decide that you like that person, or if you don't, that's okay too,
That's fine.
and you want to switch to the other career coach, then you can actually choose which career coach you prefer to work with, and that's a way that you can kind of tailor that as well. And that way we also can, build on top of the progress we've already made if you continually work with the same career coach. So that's something that you can do on your own.
Can I ask a question off of the list? Because I really like one of these, and I think it's very much in line with our career fair discussion. But
yeah.
when should I start going to career fairs? And so the answer really is go as a freshman. If you're not quite ready to do, and this is the beauty of these virtual career fairs, if you're not quite ready to meet with a company one-on-one, a significant portion of these companies are doing group sessions. And in that 30-minute group session, you know, it's still a fairly small number of students, like 30 or 40 students. So you still get some kind of face time with the employer. You get an overview of the company. You can learn a little bit more about the opportunities in terms of internships and then ultimately full-time positions that those companies have. And it just sort of, you know, get your feet wet in terms of learning about these companies and the possible roles you might apply for in the future. It's really important to network early. The worst case scenario is waiting until second semester senior year and you've never been to a career fair, not just because, you know, it's stressful for you because you've never been to one and now it feels like go time. Not that it's, you know, if this is your first one and you are a second semester senior, please go. It's still really important to go. And I won't say worst case scenario because there's still lots of opportunities. And it's just, you know, you become a little bit more comfortable with the process if you go early, and these recruiters remember who you are. You know, if they see you your freshman year and then your sophomore year and then your junior year, you're getting ready to apply for an internship. They're like, oh, hey, Paige, I've been seeing you for 2 years now. It's awesome that you keep coming back and interacting with me. And now I'm really excited to get you in the pipeline. And Paige is almost always going to get the interview because she's been interacting and networking with this employer for 2-3 years. So just go. I mean, it's great to do it in a virtual way, again, with these group sessions. So the earlier, the better in terms of when you should start attending career fairs. And again, if it is your second semester of your senior year, this is definitely the time to go because there are tons of full-time opportunities that will be starting over the summer with these companies. So, you know, really for everybody, graduate students, undergraduate students, there's really, you know, better time than the present to go.
And to add one group to that, what if you're a couple months after graduation? Come back as an alumni too. If you have a Handshake account, you are still welcome to come to our career fairs, anywhere from as early as freshmen as clear up to alumni. Come back.
Absolutely.
And topic for alumni. I often make the joke, and I also make the joke that I make this joke. That alumni really can use our services until like the day that they die. So you can definitely, I mean, all of our services, including career coaching, and appointments, including career fairs, any of our events that we have going on, like literally anything that we have, you guys can attend. So think about that as well. Come back and see us once you graduate.
Yes. And a lot of these companies that Daniel and I have been talking to are also doing in-time hiring, which means they have positions posted right now that they are willing to hire people in to start right away. So for the more formal recruitment, you know, they're recruiting at the fairs right now. They'll be interviewing, and then you would start over the summer after you graduate. But there are companies that will be there that have in-time hiring as well, which means they're going to come to the fair, they're going to meet you, they're going to interview you ASAP, and then you could start working. So for alums, that's the perfect scenario.
And those can be for internships, entry level, and beyond that too. So some of those in time are going to be a little bit more upper positions than just those entry level base positions as well.
If I'm interested in a company but they don't have any positions open, would it be weird if I contacted them anyways?
Nope.
Initiative is awesome. And it's also part of networking. If you're being pushy about it, that's not networking, that's just being pushy. But if you're just reaching out to engage, to try to get some more information, to educate yourself, to be prepared for when they do have an opening, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And employers are going to respect that and appreciate that. Plus, that's gonna put a bug in their memory that, oh, this person reached out whenever that new position does come available. Or I've even talked to students who the company has created a position for them. Maybe there was something in the development that was never published anywhere else. It was still in the works, and wow, I just had a candidate fall right in my lap. Let's go ahead and get that going. and I just created a position for you because you took the initiative and reached out to us.
And every major company that has a designated campus recruiter has a database where they track every single interaction that you have with them. So if they meet you at a career fair, if they meet you at an info session, if you come to their office hours, if you just send them an email to interact, they make note of all of that. So if you're emailing them and taking that initiative and checking in about opportunities, they're making note of it. And the people that have more interactions than others, those are going to be the first people that when they see their applications come through for positions, they interview because they've been so engaged with those companies.
One addition to that, I said do it because it's great and they appreciate it, but do it intentionally. If you just spam 100 different companies with the same email, with nothing detailed, nothing why you would be a good candidate for them, why you're interested in them, what makes them stand out, that's just spamming them. And it's not going to stand out, and it's not going to be, overly appreciated. But if you could show them why you're a good fit, what stands out about that company to you that matches your values, what you want to get out of a career, now that's I want to picture you in the job. And so make it intentional.
I think that's a good segue too into the types of people you should be contacting at companies. So of course, like campus recruiters, great place to start, especially if you have met them at events to kind of check in about opportunities. But another thing that you should be doing is really trying to network with Umkc alums via LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has an amazing alum feature where you can go in, you go to the Umkc page, you click on alums or people, I forget what the alumni, and then you can put in the company, you can put in the location, and it'll give you the list of every Umkc alum who works for that company or lives in that city. And those are people that you should be networking with too. Sending them a LinkedIn message, asking if you can, set up a quick call with them. When we're past COVID, ask about job shadowing opportunities so you can really learn about companies and roles and what might be really a good fit for you. So it's important to keep up with campus recruiters because, of course, they're the gateway, right? Like those are the people that are doing your very first round of interviews and are going to get you into the process. But if you're really interested in a company and you have an alum who works there who's also fighting for you to get that position and you've kind of hit it from multiple angles, that's just, going to clear so many barriers and get you so much further in the process. So definitely keep in contact with the campus recruiters, but also be doing networking with alums and people who work for those companies outside of recruiters as well.
No, that kind of brings me into another question that we have from students, and this is a frequently asked that the Block Career Center submitted for me. Thanks, Ashley. So this one is, what should I include on my LinkedIn profile? So I can kind of answer a little bit to that. So I was talking about how it's very similar to a Handshake profile. So on LinkedIn, how Handshake has the project section as well as the courses. LinkedIn doesn't necessarily have that, but it has everything else. So you can add in your education, your work history. Even if it's not really relevant to what you want to do, you can still pinpoint your description and maybe the bullet points that you add under that to only showcase the type of skills that will translate to the types of positions you're looking at. You can include the, what are you doing over there?
Liz joined.
Oh, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
You can also include any extracurriculars, so student involvement, student organizations that you're part of, leadership. You can include, skills, a million skills, as many skills as you want. And I would suggest it. You can also include certifications, trainings. Anything that makes up who you are as a professional and any experiences that are relevant to the types of positions and the career path that you're on, add that to your LinkedIn. There's also an about section, and I do highly suggest filling out that about section. You can think of it more as like a summary of who you are, again, as a professional. So that can include education, work experience, skills, knowledge, really anything to showcase who you are on the career path that you're on, if that makes sense. And I would say, too, you can also think of it maybe as a 30-second, career fair pitch if you want to as well. If you've developed a career fair pitch, it's going to be very similar to that as well. So those are kind of the main things in terms of developing your LinkedIn profile that you can add, aside from obviously your professional headshot if you have one.
I'd also highly recommend, Allie mentioned the skills section. That is such an important section on your LinkedIn page. It's highly searchable by employers. It populates when you apply for positions within LinkedIn. You've probably seen it say like you match 5 of the 10 major skills that, you know, similar candidates are using for this position. To populate that skill section, go and look at professionals doing the job that you want to do and see what their skills are. And if you have those skills, or you know that you could really quickly learn that program or that software, do it, add it, and you'll be that much further ahead.
I did hear a number at one point. It said you should have a minimum of 25 skills on your LinkedIn profile. And that seems like a lot, but whenever you start getting into them and looking at others, that can go by in a heartbeat. So add those in. And Allison, to one of your points, you can actually sneak in some projects. So you can add projects to descriptions of either work experiences.
Oh, good
You
know.
can add in PDFs as examples. You can add in your CV or your resume to your LinkedIn. If they're academic projects, you can add them in as descriptions under your academic experience. So you can sneak in projects to your LinkedIn profile as well to really showcase what have you done and why are you a good fit.
And that's a great note. One thing I also forgot to mention is that there is a media section on your LinkedIn profile that if you have a GitHub, or if you have your own website, or if you have other documents you want to showcase as well, you can add all types of things to that section and really showcase your different projects, your different, I don't know.
It becomes like a profile.
Yes, exactly.
A digital profile that you can add everything you can possibly imagine to that makes you a professional person and that you want to showcase. Maybe that you can't put on your resume.
Yes.
This allows you to add more.
It's a larger version of your resume.
Well, and that's the beauty of LinkedIn is there's no space. You know, like we want your resumes to be a page, and LinkedIn can be as long as you could possibly want. So we did have a question about, is it okay to apply for summer internships when you are graduating in May? And the answer to that is it completely depends. There are industries and companies that you have to be an enrolled student in order to intern with their companies. But there are lots of companies out there that you can absolutely do an internship after you graduate. I have found working in more the business side, it's fairly industry specific. Like for instance, accounting, pretty hard to do an internship if you're not enrolled. Marketing, a little bit different. There are more opportunities to do that. So it kind of depends on your major, the industry you want to go into, but ultimately the company. And it'll say in the job description, like if you have to be a junior or you have to have so much time left. If it doesn't say, I would say go ahead and apply because they haven't made it clear. So it really kind of depends.
I've even seen some engineering internships that actually target the year after you graduate, that it's set up for that time frame.
We have about 10 minutes technically left in this session. So we'll make sure that we'll cut it off right at 1, but I want to get into this question because I think that it is really important. So how do you stay in contact with a recruiter without making it awkward? So giving context, like a first year or second year student who is not ready for internships yet, but still wants to maintain a professional connection.
Again, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's going to come up a lot in professional networking no matter what. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Every once in a while, if you, let's bring back engineering as the example. If you take a class and you learn a new skill, maybe you want to reconnect with that person and ask how it's relevant for how they use it, how that industry uses it. What you can do more, this turns into an information session. How can I get more information to grow myself as a professional? How should I be applying it? Go into this networking opportunity, these connections as intentionally trying to get something out of it, but also just being receptive of the information that they're going to provide. You don't want to just go into it saying, hey, what do I need to know? Or tell me what you do. Because you should know a little bit about that. You're doing this intentionally.
My rule of thumb is once a semester check-in. So I have this rule about a few things, but like updating your resume, make sure you're updating your resume once a semester. When your grades get published, if nothing else has changed, at least go in and update your GPA on your resume. If you are really trying to build a relationship with a company, check in once a semester. And to Daniel's point, mention a skill you learned, mention a project that you've been working on, which made you think of this company and all of the opportunities you're excited to pursue once you are a junior, or whatever it is. So that's sort of my rule of thumb for a few things when it comes to sort of like staying on top of your career pursuits while you are a student. But really try to check in once a semester and target it. It needs to be tailored. Don't just send again like a sort of form message to like 10 companies that you're keeping in contact with. Really make sure that it is a tailored message, because that's just also going to mean they're more likely to respond.
Good. I also want to throw this in here because I think this is a question we get a lot. Why should I take an internship? And do I really need one? It's like we laugh because it's like, yeah. So the answer to this is yes, you should take an internship, and yes, you do really need one. And there's multiple reasons, but I'll kind of get it started and we can jump in all together. But first being, obviously, with an internship, you're developing valuable skills within the industry or career path you're going into. The types, it's going to be very somewhat similar to the types of positions you're probably going to apply to when you're full-time, in terms of full-time positions. I will say as well, obviously, aside from the experience that you're gaining that's actually relevant to your field, it's important to know that a lot of employers actually hire their full-time positions and recruit from the internship pool that they've already hired. So it can be more difficult to get a full-time job with certain employers if you haven't had an internship with them or if you're not currently interning with them. And so I'll let anybody else want to jump in on those points, but yeah.
I think you hit the nail.
I think just to add to that, sometimes these, we were talking about these recruiting timelines and those forward positions or those future positions. Sometimes it's impossible to get them if you didn't do an internship with that company because they hire exclusively from their internship pool, which makes sense, right? I already seen how you work. I know your skill set and you know my system. You know our process, the skill, or how to succeed here. So naturally, I'm just, instead of having all the onboarding of a new employee, I already have this person that can hit the ground running.
Yeah, I will say internships are key. Can every student do an internship? No, because Allie, we hope that you could, but it's, you know, we also understand the realities of our students' lives, that if you're already working full-time and you need benefits and things like that, it's not always possible to quit your full-time job to do an internship. So we said it a few times, come and talk to a career coach, because if not an internship, like we can still help you do things like job shadowing or, you know, do informational interviews, things that can connect you with companies, relevant experience that you can put on your resume that's maybe outside the internship. But if you can do an internship, do an internship. I mean, I cannot recommend them enough. I think all of us would say the same thing, but we also completely understand that not every single one of our students can do an internship. And so come and talk to us if that's not the case.
Yeah, and I will say as well to that point in coming in and seeing us, if you can't do an internship, we can also think about ways that we can change the angle of your work experience or some of the other things that you've done. If you're an athlete, we can think about how those skills that you've learned in those positions can help you in the full-time position you may be applying to after you graduate. So we can kind of rethink some of those so that it's not so irrelevant and we can really refocus those bullet points.
This next question is really relevant, talking about, I think what's basically about just doing multiple internships, sort of like creating a rotation of experiences so that you don't, because there are a lot of students that don't know exactly what they want to do. They don't know exactly the internship they want and exactly the career they want. And honestly, internships can tell you a lot. They can tell you love something or you hate something and you never want to do it again. So what you're really describing in this question is how do you do multiple internships? And I will say, as UMKC students in an urban area, it is so much easier for you to do multiple internships because you're not kept to just doing summer internships. Like you can do fall, spring. If you're, if you want to wait till junior year, great. There are some companies that will hire you into internships as a sophomore. So I would just say apply and try to nail down as many internships as possible so that you have a really good idea of what you want to do as you get towards graduation.
I'm trying to narrow down how to answer this one because there's so many options that you can do. One, I'm going to bring it back to networking. One of them, you can reach out to some of those industries that you want to be in, that you want to try it, and see if they have any project-based. Sometimes they're called externships, which means it's not a full internship. It's a shorter term, one project-based experience that you could work there for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and really kind of get the feel for what the environment is like and then move on. So that's one option for experiencing multiple things. There's also some companies out there, some organizations that have a rotational internship model where you try this in this area for one period of time, then you move to this area, then you move to this area. And that'll give you a variety of experiences. And most of the time, I hear this sometimes in insurance companies that you get multiple levels to one single internship. So that's something you might look into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not a lot of those rotational internships because an internship by definition is a short period of time. It's anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks. So if it's a rotational, you're not going to be experiencing too much, like two to 3 weeks maybe in each area. So the other thing, you mentioned tech consulting and healthcare. Well, within a healthcare organization, you could do a consulting internship and you could do a tech internship. So if you have some overarching industries you're interested in, you might also apply to multiple internships within that company to do different things.
We may want to just sign off now because I know that you kind of have to skedaddle here right at 1. So I think that might be a good stopping point. I will note that if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to our general email and or make an appointment with us. Again, so our general email for career services, UMKC career services that is careerservices@umkc.edu.
Really quick question about eligibility to do internships after you are a master's international student. I believe you have to be enrolled, and you guys can tell me, is it 6 months, a year before you can work? I know it's different for master's students versus undergraduate students. ISAO is going to be the final word on that, though, because they're going to process all of your paperwork for that. So I would double check with them. I know the rules are slightly different if you're a graduate student because you're here for less time versus an undergraduate student. It might just be 1 semester that you have to be here before you can start working, but definitely check with ISAO.
And talking to them about OPT options, but also CPT options, knowing that
right.
There's a difference between those two. One's an internship and one is a full-time position post-graduation. So knowing the difference and working it out with them to know when to apply, because I don't want you to be applying or get to the process late and then you can't fulfill all of your paperwork for CPT until you're graduating, and now you have to have OPT, and it's a process. So talk to ISAO. That's your best bet.
Look into it now, for sure. Just stick with it now, and then you'll be good to go.
Ashley did note that Black will be hosting panels in tech, consulting, and healthcare in March.
Thanks,
So,
Ashley.
anybody interested in that, you got it. That you can.
And those are open for all students. They're hosted by Block, but any student at UMKC can attend those.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I believe, I assume it's in Handshake as well, like all of our events are. You can register, or no?
If they're not in Handshake, they will be soon. We're getting panelists right now for those events. So just keep checking back.
Okay, awesome. So I think that'll be it for us. Thank you so much for everyone that came in and joined us today. Honestly, this was like way more questions and involvement than I was really expecting. So this has like exceeded all expectations. I love it. So thank you all who joined us and submitted questions to us. And again, if you have any questions after this, please feel free to make an appointment with a career coach. That usually is the best way to go about it. I think
Just
that's it.
make an appointment.
Just make an appointment.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.